I see George is not on his around the world tour yet, so that's good. Got a few more weeks. So at 5:31 p.m. on February 21st, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Number 2, public comment. Raquel, do we have any public with their hands raised?
No, I don't see anyone.
Okay, that's a no and a no. Okay, good. Item number 3, approval of minutes, February 6th, 2023. Does anyone feel comfortable making a motion?
Gosh, I always do. Let's see if somebody else is listening. Oops.
Well, we'll loop back
I'll-
around. to that one. Are you gonna
I
do it?
read it. I'll make the motion that we
Okay.
accept the minutes.
I didn't make the motion because I couldn't read it. I couldn't open the link, but I didn't try till about 10 minutes ago, so I feel bad.
Okay, do we have a second? Sharon made a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Raise your hands. Aye. I assume that's unanimous. Number 4, architects update. Justin, if you have something for us, feel free.
I just want to give a quick update. Just since the last time that we met, which was February 6th, about 2 weeks ago, we had an in-person meeting on Tuesday, February 7th. In-person meeting with neighbors, direct abutters, and people within the Mungertown Road neighborhood. So we heard some public comments that will likely be continued public comments, and we have a pretty good list, but it was a good way to start that conversation with the abutters, because as we go through the land use approvals, there will be public comment and public meetings. So we want to make sure that we are reaching out and taking everything into account. The next day, we met with the group of administrators at the district to go through some of the design focused discussion about the design and the site and the parking. You'll sense a recurring theme here. On the 15th, which was last Wednesday, we had a meeting with the town departments to discuss site and site development as we get ready to go through inland wetlands and planning and zoning and the ACCA. We also held a working group meeting where we went through room by room discussion centered around the media center and the art room and steam room. The following day, we had a focused discussion with regarding traffic, site, and parking. The overall gist of this discussion, I'm sure Adam will get into it, is that there has been a number of comments regarding increasing the number of parking spaces, as well as increasing, providing a sidewalk on Mungertown Road on our parcel of the site. So we're going through a design exercise to try to efficiently add the amount of parking, get the appropriate number of parent drop-off locations. The preliminary traffic study indicated 100, which is no small task to make sure that we can get. So that is really the focus of our design efforts. I will say that we also today met with the special education and resource coordinator to go through those focused room by room discussions. And we also met with remaining town departments of public safety, building official, and fire marshal, just to prep them on what's to come through the process of going. We will have a number of check-ins with them. Ultimately, we need all of their approvals prior to getting approval to bid through the state. So it's necessary that we bring them on board and address any of their concerns. So with that, that's more or less the thumbnail summary of what we've been working on, with the primary focus of making sure that we can accommodate from a site perspective a lot of this fine tuning of the the parking, site circulation, and pedestrian access, I would say, along Mungertown.
Great, excellent update. And yeah, the quicker you can get into ACA too, I'm sure your plan will pass with kudos, but it's just a variable we just want to cross off. So we better to in there sooner than later. And
Yeah.
sometimes, or many times, they actually come up with some good suggestions, that improve the design. At least that's what I always tell them after the fact. But so all good. We're still on track for DD schedule.
Yes. Yep.
Excellent. Okay, does anyone have any questions for Justin? No? Good, excellent. Number 5, Nick, construction manager's update. Nick unfortunately has a funeral, so he's unable to attend tonight. But I don't think there's really anything, until he gets the DD plans, there's not much he's gonna do. Number 6, OPM update. Adam,
So just to kind of expound quickly on a couple things that Justin spoke about and then kind of relate that to moving forward. So out of the neighbors meeting, it came a number of good suggestions that will add things to the site. We talked about the sidewalk, there's some fencing requested about the northern border, and then just a number of considerations. We won't be able to do 100% of everything because there's only so much site and logistical constraints. But the important point was to get as much feedback as possible and bake that in to the site now. Similarly, initially out of that neighbor meeting, but then it was followed on with the administrators meeting, the Madison Public Schools administrators meeting, was that focus of the parking and parent drop-offs that Justin alluded to. And we did a little bit of a deeper dive because there seemed to be some just intrinsic conflict between some of the traffic study data, the preliminary traffic study before this committee was formed, regarding like levels of service at some of the intersections. So for example, Mungertown Road and Green Hill Road, I forget if it was an A or a B level of service, but didn't really seem to be a grave concern necessarily in the traffic study, but some of the neighbors exhibited concern about that being very busy, it being super bogged down. So between that and some of the parent drop-off numbers, of which, like Justin said, 100 is a no small feat for an elementary school and for this parcel. There's a little bit of sleuthing that wants to happen there. So there may be we talked with Benish, and there might be something where we solicit an additional short traffic count study to really do a deeper dive into some of the parent drop-offs and to re-examine some of the key intersections. Again, nothing crazy, but to double check, so to speak, because the people that live there say there's a problem. So we want to be sensitive to that, as opposed to just relying on the one study that came from a while back. So there may be in a near-term meeting, maybe the next meeting, there might be a proposal put before the committee to authorize that additional study work to really understand and fine-tune what needs to happen with the site. Because if there's 100 parents versus even 75 or 80 parents, that's a big difference into how the site needs to react to accommodate some of these traffic flows and avoid there being problems on the road. So there's a lot of data flying around with all this, and parking expanding, how the traffic wants to flow, changes to the site. We talked with Bill about potentially needing some outdoor storage for some of the maintenance equipment. So all of these things are evolving. But in addition to just baking these into the entitlement process, reviews, planning and zoning, et cetera, we have to always be mindful of what was happening with the budget and how do we ensure that whatever needs to get added, that's rightly added, gets reflected in landscaping plans, gets reflected into the overall project design of things, so that way we're still moving forward in that path to fine-tune the alignment of the budget and the estimates that are coming forth. So again, no actions right now, but all these things came hot and fast over the past week and a half or so. So I want to keep this committee updated and kind of let you know what we're, as a project team, what we're thinking about in order to be sensitive, responsive, and responsible with how this all gets baked into the plans. To that point, I know Nick Conti's not here, but he and I just had a brief touch base on putting some preliminary estimates to some of these figures, so that way we're not putting them on the plans and then finding out at the DD estimate that, we need to try to tweak things. We're trying to get ahead of some of the value engineering and brainstorming earlier on some of these additional changes. So we'll be more responsive to that. So more to come, but just a high level on those items. And then very quickly to wrap up my portion, I did include the calendar, an updated calendar schedule for the next 2 months, just to kind of give you the sense of all the happenings that are going on. There's more that'll be populated in here, I'm sure, as we go along. But some of the big items will be, and we'll have some requests for proposals coming forth soon for the geothermal well testing, and after that, the hazardous materials testing for Ryerson. I know that scope has been sort of an ad-alt, but that's still the investigative work should still happen as part of this exercise. So those should be posted within the next week or two, ideally. We're doing the final reviews on some of that now. And I'll keep the committee apprised as to what happens with those items. And then we'll have, as Justin was alluding to, wrap up of some of the water designs, the septic system designs. And then also we've got another touch base with our friends at Eversource as part of the Path One grant program. You do another check-based touch in with them at design development, halfway through design development and to the end of design development. So all that's still progressing. So take a look at that if you're feeling interested into seeing what some of the committee meetings and some of those things that are going on. But I'll continue to update, because that format of the calendar seems to be a good way to kind of distill things as to what's going on each day, as opposed to 100 milestones on an Excel spreadsheet. So any questions for me? Otherwise, that's sort of a 40,000 foot view.
Just like I said earlier, I couldn't open the link that was sent with the email. If you could just resend it to me so I could get
Yeah, no
it and
problem.
see that stuff. Thank you.
Did anyone else have issues? Technical problems are always I want to make sure it's nothing on my end. So did anyone else have issues, or could you access it? I think Woody said he could get it because he was looking at the minutes. But yes, Susan, I will definitely resend you the link, and we can coordinate if it doesn't come through again.
Beautiful. Thanks, Adam. Moving on to item number 7, review and approval of invoice packets.
Yes,
You know, Adam, I'm not getting it now.
worked before.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's something on.
And ironically, I just opened it. So it was me. I
Wow.
blocked you out.
Let me. I'll circle back on my end of things to make sure there's nothing funky on my end.
Yeah, I can't get in now. Huh. That's funny.
Okay. So for this meeting's invoice packet, this is short. It's just the one Collier's invoice for this month. Usually we do them at the end of the month, but we had an interim payment for the past week. So it's just the one invoice for $8,125 for Collier's.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second, George.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Unanimous? Beautiful. Number 8, public comment. Raquel, do we have any, has anyone joined us, and do they have their hands up?
No, there's just Al Goldberg, and he doesn't have his hands raised.
Okay. I'm sure Al will raise his hands if he wants to have any questions. Okay. Hope you're doing well, Al. Number 9, remarks. Any other comments, remarks anyone would like to make? I think we're good. With that, anyone make a motion to adjourn?
I'll do it.
There you go. I'll second.
All in favor?